as well as Danielle to join. But thank you all for attending this office hour, the first New Year office hour. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Um, believe that both Lindsay and Cassie are out today, so you have me to kind of open up the meeting. Um, so I just wanted to say good afternoon. I think we have a couple folks here, most folks. I'll give it like until 3:03 to give folks a chance to join, and then we'll get started. For whatever reason. Alrighty. I just wanted to say hi. Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a really good break. As usual, we'll be recording the office hours and putting the recording on Padlet, so that everyone can go ahead and view it afterwards, or anyone who missed the meeting can get a chance to check things out.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh, Dottie,
Your turn.
you're off mute. I don't know if you're talking to us or. But I just wanted to go over the agenda for today. Thanks so much. I think Monique, you just, yeah. So gonna do brief welcome, go over some of the administrative updates. They're pretty much the same ones that you all saw at the last office hours in December. And then we'll have a bit of a EcoMap refresher and talking about the partner assessment tool, and then still leaving some time for any questions that you all might have. Next slide. And so not much in terms of administrative updates. Big one is just that our next office hour will be February 19th from 3 to 4. Our next collaborative meeting will be February 25th from 1 to 3. Both of those will be virtual. We'll send out reminders in advance, but just wanted to make sure that everyone had the date. If you don't have the date held on your calendar, let us know. We'll make sure you get the calendar invite. Next slide. So the funding updates, this was the main one that you all were recently notified about back in December. We do have the additional 25K to give to all of the backbone organizations. And so we're asking for a updated budget to coincide with that. And so we are aiming to get the budgets from everyone on January 24th, to just show kind of how you plan to spend that extra 25K. If you have any questions, feel free to follow up with either myself or Cassie or Lindsay, and we'll be able to answer any questions you have. Next slide.
So you're sorry. Say that one more time. Get me off because she started talking.
I just was asking if there's anything else.
Yes, and I said something and you said something about grants.
Directory was next.
Adam, are you talking to us?
Which we come already talked about.
We didn't talk about the grant, but the directory.
Adam,
so that-
Adam. I can
Oh.
hear you. There you go. All right, well, I am going to pass it over to Monique to talk about the eco map, and then we'll keep it going.
Thank you, Danielle. I think I told most everyone Happy New Year if I haven't said it already. And welcome to our first office hour of 2025. So I'll go ahead and jump in. As we continue to focus on sustainability, it is important, of course, to analyze our partnerships. So those who we are currently engaged with and those who we may still need to engage. So today we will be presenting to you all a tool for assessing those partnerships and just identifying some ways the partnerships can help further the work of the councils. So as a reminder, you all had a chance to complete an EcoMap previously. In that EcoMap, you were able to document your partnerships by type. As we know, leveraging those diverse partnerships is critical to a strong foundation for sustainability. Ensuring those key partnerships, those key partners are invested in your efforts in this overall ways that can help increase your council visibility and support within the community. So we'll take a look at the example that you all created. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, you previously developed this eco map in that Excel spreadsheet, which mapped out your partners, your type of relationships, your sectors, and all other information pertaining to those partnerships. So you can definitely use those eco maps that you've already created because there's no reason to reinvent that wheel. So you can use that as a good foundation to prepare for the partner analysis tool, which we'll go over shortly. So we are inviting you to take this a step further, think critically about how your partnerships can be leveraged to sustain the work of your council. So today we're going to walk you through another tool that can be used for this same purpose. And then shortly, Laura will add this PDF to the chat for you all to have as well, but we'll walk through it today for our session. So the partnership assessment tool was adapted from the CDC and is recommended to be conducted on an annual basis. So something you can kind of update yearly. As you begin this assessment, please remember that your council is considered a partnership. You review the partners you currently have serving as members of your council, as well as considering some of those additional partners who may be needed to kind of strengthen those efforts. So the assessment should include 3 steps to kind of help you assess your membership and the roles of your partnerships. So that first step is pretty much identifying the roles or functions, skills, areas of expertise, and representation needed for a successful partnership. So seeing what exactly can help increase and make that partnership successful. That next step will be reviewing your current partnerships and memberships of your council. So the roles that they feel, those skills and expertise they may bring, that they're currently bringing to that partnership. And then the third step will be comparing your wanted attributes with the attributes that your partnerships currently have. Next slide, please. So before we begin to assess those partnerships, it's important to kind of consider some key questions before doing so. So that first question could be, what is the purpose of that partnership? Thinking of ways of what purpose that partnership serves. Is it an advisory group? What specific tasks or objectives are involved in this partnership? Next, thinking about what does success look like for the partnership? Are there specific activities or goals for that partnership? What does that look like in your council? Next, consider what organizations, agencies, leaders are needed to represent that partnership to ensure it's successful. What assets will be important to drive that success? And finally, thinking about what roles do members need to fulfill? So what purpose would they serve on your partnership? What resources or skills do they need to provide to ensure that partnership is successful? So we'll take a look, next slide, we'll take a look at 2 tables. We'll go through the first table together as well as the second to kind of help you go through this tool. So for table A, you notice that there are color-coded columns, which should be easy for you to kind of go through together with your council members. the table A lists the roles, the skills, and the state level groups that could be represented in the partnership. So you could use this list as a starting point to review and customize it to fit your council needs. So this is not a one size fit all table. It can definitely be customized to fit what you need in your council. Table A can be used to brainstorm those memberships, those needs within your council. You can also use this table, excuse me, to identify the needs and any additional roles, any additional skills or expertise, some possible sources that you may currently not have. You can also list out more or remove some depending on how you want to customize this table. So let's kind of walk through a table together. So for the first blue column, you see there are roles listed. Here you will find some potential roles that exist or should be added to your council. You have two columns alongside of that that has want or have. So the want would be for anything that corresponds to the attributes on the list that you would like to have in your council. And of course, the have will be areas where things already exist. So these roles already exist in your partnerships. Looking at the purple column under skills and expertise, similar to the first column, you will find potential skills that exist or should be added to your council. Again, you can check box under want for any item that does correspond to the attributes on your list. Or if your council already have these expertise and skills, you can check mark under have as well. For orange column, same thing, possible, oh, go back, sorry. So same thing for the orange column under possible sources. You will find potential sources or partners that exist or should exist and be added to your council. Again, check marking under wants for anything that does correspond to your attributes. And then also check marking under have for things that you would like to see in your council. Chandra, I see your hand up. I'm sorry if I missed that.
Nope, it just put it up shortly.
Okay.
Thank you for this. I just wanted to clarify because when you first started talking, I wasn't abundantly clear in terms of when we said partners. You're really talking about the actual council, not partners
Yes.
to the council, but you're saying that based on you all's sense of things, that these are the type of experiences and areas of representation that the council members should represent.
Yep. So this, for when we say partners, this could be partners in your like your council members or partnerships with your council. So either or.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify because
Of course.
obviously when it shows council leader, and then it was just curious to me, the second
Yeah.
point that the council leader, that the key skill that was highlighted was data analysis. I know this is just an example, but again, if you could say anything to the example highlighting data analysis as a council leader's skill or expertise.
Yeah. So are you talking about what's on this table or?
Yes, what's on this table.
Okay, let me see under, I'm trying to find where so I can reference it.
Yeah, just the first row. It says roles, council leader, skills, expertise, data analysis.
Oh, was someone else talking? I'm sorry
Yeah, Monique, I was just going to
go ahead, Laura.
and share that we're only asking you to look at them in terms of columns. So council leader, you're not following that row across.
Got it. Okay.
The skills and the sources with that council leader. So apologize for any confusion there, but looking at the columns and those sections specifically and noting that there may be skills and expertise or possible partners and sources that each of those roles has.
Yes, thank you. Yep. So definitely looking down columns and not across. Yep. And as I mentioned,
thank you.
This is customizable. So you may not need someone on your council or in your partnership that is good with data analysis. So that's something that can be removed off of the list. You can add on another skill that you think may be important that could help strengthen your council. So these are just examples, but just looking down the list. Yep, absolutely. Thank you for clarifying that, Laura. So again, just checking those columns for want or have, and this is not an exhaustive list. You could definitely customize it to fit your council needs. So we can go to the next table, Laura. So table B can be used to assess existing council partnerships or as an ongoing kind of partnership inventory list. So again, we can go through some steps of how to complete this table similar to table A. So for that first column, looking down the green, Partner name, this is simply you listing out individuals or groups that you currently have as partners. Blue column is the partnership column where you can write down the purpose of that partnership. This could also be the activity or main function of how the partner contributes to that council. For the purple column, which is roles and skills, you can identify those specific skills and roles that that partner brings to the group. Again, it may be multiple roles and skills they bring, so you can list all of those out according to what that partner brings. For the orange column, for planned or actual tasks, this can be a document where you put down planned contributions for any new partnerships that you have listed. So if they just joined your partnership and haven't contribute yet, you can add on what you think they're going to plan to contribute or how they're going to add to that contribution and planned tasks that you have. Or you can list down what you guys currently have planned or what they're currently contributing in that partnership with those established partnerships. And then finally, just for some housekeeping, it's good to have that column to have their contact information or that primary point of contact, phone number or email. It just kind of helps keep things organized. So this process overall will help you not only identify members that are carrying much of the workload, but also help engage some of those members that may not actively be involved in your council, but you would like to see them more involved. You can compare the two lists, so tables A and B, to determine if there's any gaps in existing partnerships that might be able to fill in some areas where new partners could be prioritized. So just looking across these two tables as tools for you to see what you currently have, what exists, and what gaps could exist that you could kind of help fill with those new partnerships. So again, you can consider this table to be a tool to help you inventory existing partnerships. Again, both council members and council partners, or also those you're considering bringing in as partnerships. This list can be used for both. It can also be used as kind of like an ongoing partnership inventory. And as a reminder, you can use those equal maps that you guys already created to kind of help you fill out these tables as well. So using those as a foundation. So again, that first column, you're just listing out those individual groups and current partners, writing down their purpose, the activities in which they participate in. The next column, their roles and skills and expertise that they represent as an organization. Those planned tasks of what they plan to contribute or are currently contributing to that partnership, and then their contact information for that final column. And again, this will kind of help you also engage those partnerships who might not actually be present or currently involved. So if we go back and look at table A, for each partner that's listed in table B, you can use table A to actually check off those roles, those skills, those expertise in the groups that's represented in those half columns. And again, in some of those things that you would like to see in those want columns. So again, feel free to add any new elements to the list as needed, take away some elements that you don't see as a strength that could help in your partnerships. This tables could be completely customizable, but we definitely encourage you to use both tables together to kind of assess what assets you want and what you have, and then also keeping that inventory checklist of those current and new partnerships. So I will hand it over to Laura to lead us with our discussion questions and to answer any general questions you guys may have about the partner assessment tool. Thank you.
Thank you, Monique. So I hope that the tool was successfully shared in the chat. When you're screen sharing and adding things in the chat, it's just a whole new element of navigating technology. So if you didn't get it in the chat, we will make sure our team drops that in real quick. The tool that we have shared with you, now we kind of give you an overview here in this office hours, but the tool gives you all of the instructions that we shared in written form so that you can follow step by step exactly how to successfully do this partnership assessment tool, including those key questions that you really want to ask yourselves as a council when you're beginning this assessment. So before I get some reactions and feelings from all of you, I also want to share that this specific tool was truly intentionally created in response to feedback that we were kind of hearing and that was being shared in past office hours with the councils. So I think a discussion actually in our last office hours was had about how you really identify some of these skill sets that exist within your council, exist within your members. How do you know how to leverage those skills, that experience, that expertise as you're thinking about sustainability and where those skills may be able to assist in sustainability of your council? And so our team was kind of taking that back and thinking about, before you even begin other steps of sustainability, this would be a really helpful thing to be thinking about, is who is on my council and how do I really determine the skills and experience and expertise that they are bringing in a way that is non-biased, in a way that is meant to be helpful and to leverage those assets that exist within your council and within your members. So we hope that this tool is used for just that, to really be thinking about, as Monique shared, those members that exist internally on your council and thinking about what assets you already have that are benefiting your council, but also where you may want to expand your council skills and expertise. And that may include thinking about that skills and expertise that already exist, but it may also be considering external partnerships outside of your council that you may want to bring in as a potential member, as just a partner in a different role, maybe sharing information and resources, but not actively a member. So it really helps you to think about who's serving on the council, but also beyond that, what is needed and how can we expand our efforts in ways that are meaningful and relevant to our council needs. Long-winded. So we want to hear now, just before we kind of dive into some of our questions, like what's initially standing out to you with this partnership assessment, and what are some of these feelings that we're kind of getting from seeing this assessment tool so far? And you can come off mute, you can share in the chat. We encourage you to share in whatever way you feel most comfortable. And Calvin, it was great to have you join us. We appreciate you joining for whatever time you're able to today. So what are we feeling about this tool? Do we think that it will be helpful for you as council members to be able to take back and utilize as councils?
I'll go ahead and start, Laura. Yeah, I really like the tool. I think it's kind of a thing that we sort of, we have in our minds of what our partners, what skills they have and what they can bring to the table. We've never really documented it, so I think this is a really great way to do that. For us, I think in Kent County, I think like last meeting in December, we really started talking to our council members about, who do we need to bring on board? We kind of put that question out to them, and I think having something like this would have helped a lot to sort of identify sort of what we have in place currently and what our gaps are. So I think it's gonna be great. I think we're excited about using it and putting it into action. So I appreciate you sharing this tool with us, because yeah, I think it'd be good to document it and have it to carry forward in terms of who's part of the council and what they bring to the table. So thank you.
Appreciate those comments, Brian. And to your point, exactly, this tool can be used to really inventory. So as you may already have some ideas as a council of where a gap exists, maybe you really want to expand in your skill set of grant writing, and maybe don't have somebody on the council that has that experience just yet. You already are thinking about that, but this document or this tool really helps you to walk through what's really needed, capture that, inventory it to see who is already on your council, what partners are in the community that maybe we already have or need to build relationships with, and really have it be a living, breathing document that you go back to and revisit as you're maintaining your membership or expanding your membership of your council. I think I saw a little chat bubble. Can you go back to chart A and to chart B? Yes, bear with me because I'm navigating. Okay, let's go. Oh, so this is chart A here. And if we have any specific questions about chart A or chart B, don't hesitate to let our teams know. I know we also threw a kind of a lot at you with this tool at once, and some of it will take some processing on your own. That's how I operate, at least. So if you have questions that come up after our office hours, we have plenty of time together today. But if any questions, concerns, comments come up, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team, and we are happy to support you in whatever way is needed. So this is table A here. And again, meant to really initially at least be thinking about, oh, Joyce is throwing me for a loop. Okay, how do I zoom in and make this bigger on my screen? I'm not the best at this, y'all.
You should. So Laura, if you do the 3 lines, they might pop up again over in the left-hand corner there. There was a little bar that came up for a second for you.
Oh, you see when that happens too?
Yeah, it's fine. It's no big deal.
Hmm.
The
See.
other option is, Joyce, if you right-click on your Zoom, you should be able to also Zoom. Or if you have your trackpad, you use your 2 fingers and do like this. It'll get huge. There we go. Someone did something. Beautiful. Thank you, Laura.
I don't know if I did anything, but hopefully
You
you're
did.
able to see it.
You did great.
Okay. Oh, goodness. And so again, keeping in mind this table A is meant to be kind of a starting point for all of you. We have some examples in each of these sections or each of these respective columns of what you as a council may hope to see or already have within your council based off of the roles that you have or would like to see, the skills or expertise that you have or would like to see, and those possible sources or partners is really what they are. Possible partners or sources of additional skill sets, additional assets and expertise that you may be able to leverage as part of a member of your council. So really start thinking first about who internally serves on your council. And from there, as you're getting a good understanding of the makeup of your council and that skills and expertise that exist on your council, then you can begin thinking about, and this is just for organizational sake, you don't have to do it this way, but it makes sense to be thinking internally about your council makeup. And from there, as you're identifying where the gaps exist, begin to think about where those external partnerships exist that could be leveraged in that way to support your council efforts. Any questions about this table specifically before I hop over to table B? Or comments?
Just quick question. What is the due date again? Was it the end of the month? I apologize. When this is due, I apologize.
I honestly, and Danielle, I'm looking at your face, knowing
So yeah,
this
no,
is
it's
not
totally
your your
fine.
responsibility today. I just wasn't sure if we actually set a deadline for this or not.
Yeah, so I believe, um, let's not quote me on it, but quote me because it's a name and a face. Our plan was to just kind of create this as a resource. I know a lot of folks have been thinking about what it is that they need to bring in terms of partners, specific people, skills, etc., to sustain the work. And so this was kind of developed as we work towards our kind of finalizing of the sustainability planning like template that we'll develop and share with everyone. We realize that partnership is a really key component of that. And so creating and identifying really strong partners who can be assets to the work of the councils and some of the initiatives that you have started through this work. That's how the tool itself came to be, but there isn't a specific due date for this right now. We just thought, given some of the feedback that we've gotten from other councils and some of the TA requests we've filled over the last couple months, we were like, this may be something that's very useful for everyone. Does that answer your question, Jason?
It does. I was only thinking or inquiring because I knew we had already had our Health Equity Council meeting.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to figure out logistics on, timelines to see, if we could wait till next month to turn it in, but you've already explained that. So, I have everything noted. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I definitely recommend um integrating it into meetings with your council members as you see fit. If you have questions about how to bring that into the meeting, or what does this tool mean to us, we can always talk about that more, either just setting up some time to chat, or in your next check-in with Cassie and Lindsay, we can definitely discuss it more in depth, or I can answer any questions right now.
Thank you. I appreciate the insight.
No problem.
Thank you, Danielle. I always appreciate being able to tap into you here and your breadth of knowledge that you have. So appreciate your help.
No problem.
Are there any other just kind of questions or clarification that's coming up for folks right now? We're happy to answer anything and to make this an easy resource for you to use. As Danielle was touching on, this is not meant to be like one more task that you have to do on your journey with sustainability planning. It's really meant to be a support to you as you're working through your strengths in sustainability and where you need to grow in terms of sustainability. This tool is really just meant to serve as that additional resource to help you determine. We're saying we're really strong in this area as we move through sustainability. We're saying we need to grow in this area in terms of sustainability. Let's be thinking about these members that we have. Let's be thinking about our overall council structure and how that supports our pathway to sustainability, what we think and believe we're really good at, and where we do need to grow. Let's go back to this partner list and see where are there roles that we need to expand, those specific skills or areas of expertise that need to be expanded upon, and what are those potential partners that may already exist on the council, but maybe we need an additional point of contact within another area. So when you're looking at possible sources in this table A, we have local hospital wellness center listed. Maybe that's not relevant to your council, maybe it is, but we also have local hospital communications. So for one of your councils, maybe you have somebody who's serving from a local healthcare system, but maybe it isn't the role for the type of work that you're trying to achieve. And they still bring a different area of expertise or skill to this council, but you really need to get into the communications aspect of that hospital. So it might be considering other partnerships and expanding upon other partnerships that already exist, or totally new partnerships as well. But again, meant to really be a supportive tool as you are thinking about what this sustainability journey and this plan looks like for your council moving forward. And again, I'm gonna just keep checking the chat. I think it's a great tool to identify partners' skill sets. Thank you, Dottie. So that was our hope, was really to be thinking about those partners and members that serve on the council. What skill sets do we have? What areas of expertise do we have? And keep in mind, facilitation is a big part of sharing this tool. I say that and offer up our support in helping you be successful in facilitating using this tool with your council, because we certainly don't want to set a tone with your council either, where folks are feeling like we're critiquing what they contribute to the council. That is not the purpose of this either. Everyone is bringing some type of skill set or expertise, a partnership, some point of value to this council. And so it's really about thinking about those assets and where you want to continue to expand and grow. So, and keep that in mind as well, that we are here to help you in successfully presenting this to councils in the way that you need that support. So I'm going to hop. I don't want to forget, Joyce had asked to see table B as well. Hopefully this is big enough on the screen for all of you, but keep in mind you have that document in the chat too. We can definitely send that out via email after the office hours so that everybody has access to it who wasn't able to attend office hours. But that is intentionally shared with you as a Word document so that you can go in and edit it and make changes as needed as it reflects your specific council needs. But this table B is really meant to serve as kind of that tool to see what your partners are bringing to the council again, and serving as that additional inventory. So we know what we want, we know what we have, but let's also be thinking about, of the folks that we have, what's this partnership look like? What's their role, skill, or expertise? As Monique was sharing earlier, those actual or planned contributions or tasks that will be assigned or are assigned, and that contact information. So as your council is building, expanding, and changing, we aren't losing sight of who those point of contacts are, and we can continue to maintain those relationships. Are there questions or points of clarification that we need for table B? Things that our team needs to consider that maybe we haven't yet. Oh, I got a trigger finger today, y'all. I'm sorry. Here we go. Back on table B. All right. I'm going to move ahead here and know that sometimes silence isn't a bad thing. There could be a lot of processing that is happening right now. Again, I know we just threw a lot of information at you. And when I looked at the partnership assessment tool, it took me just a little bit of time to really let it kind of simmer and make sense of how it would best be used. So I know that it always takes time to really process something new that's being shared with you. So again, anything that might come up after our office hours, you are always welcome to send an email to Lindsay, to Cassie, to our team, and we're happy to be a resource to you. We're hearing that it's sounding like it's pretty exciting. I know that we haven't heard from everybody in this space, but from the folks who have shared with us, it sounds like it will be a helpful tool, or that they're excited for the value that it may bring to your council. Don't be afraid to share. Does it feel still unclear, or that it might be challenging to share or to use with your council? Where might we see some challenges with this tool? Chandra, your hand is raised.
Sure, I'm happy to comment. I think that it's a good tool. I am familiar with, creating matrices. And I would just say that as it relates to our council, I do think that there is something that you've already spoken to as a potential challenge, meaning that it does speak really more institutionally versus more in community-based perspective. So that would be the one thing that I see as a potential rub, but not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, every council obviously is getting to determine what they believe are the critical partners, which you already said, but that's just, the one thing that strikes me as a potential challenge. I will also say that what I personally really like about the tool, having used similar tools before, I really do like, and again, if I'm understanding it correctly. So when you're looking at table B, if that really is one where it's going across, where you're looking at the partner name and then kind of, what they're designed to bring, their role and skill, expertise, etc. I really like kind of bringing all of that, together in one document. So in the document that we're working from, I put a profile for each of the council members, which kind of serves kind of similar. And I would, basically lift what you all put to make sure that our council is, like putting together a matrix that includes, table B. So again, I see it as a really good, like tool. That's the only, like I said, concern, at least for our council, is that it sounds very much more traditional / institutional versus more community asset based, and even individual asset, like based. And then I do have a question that's not directly related to this, so I can hold it till later or go ahead and go now.
I think we can open it up now. I just want to thank you for providing that honest feedback, Chandra. I think that's really helpful for our team and something that it just truly in the moment thinking about how we really missed kind of capturing the lived experience and how much value that brings to the councils in addition to that institutional experience that folks have. And really, what makes councils so successful is that lived experience and the community linkages and relationships that exist within the council members that you all have. So I think that's something that our team will definitely be taking back. And as we're looking at this tool and continuing to use it, I think that we can also make some updates on our end that really reflect the true nature of the councils and not just kind of a very traditional model that we're kind of operating off of right now. So really appreciate that feedback.
Thank you. And my question is relatively simple, but I actually think it even aligns with this conversation. So in our last kind of planning team meeting, so not the full council, but the leaders and, kind of the planning team, there was a discussion, and I said that, Calvin and I said that we would bring it to today's conversation, but since he, like left, I'm speaking up regarding it. And that is, at this point in time, like we know there's been great evolution in terms of what you all have looked for from the councils. Do you all have a current kind of like, what is the purpose? What are you all expecting from the councils in terms of, them being established from a sustainability standpoint? Like, is there a purpose or a definition for like, what is a health equity council?
Danielle, I'm going to bring you into this space here.
Yeah. Feel like I can definitely send out like a more formal written definition, but when it came to the concept and how we wanted to operationalize it, it was really about how can we create community-driven initiatives and think about the integration of partners from various sectors and the connection to health. And so that is kind of, I think, how we came to the idea of the council. And so the councils themselves are charged with, utilizing both lived experience as well as their knowledge of time and place of what's happening within each of your service regions. So whether that be county or city, which is in the case of the Detroit Council, of, what are the urgent issues? How can we as both community and organizations work together to address those issues? And so that has taken, various shapes and forms through community health workers, kind of educational events, informationals through, focused on COVID mitigation and prevention measures, as well as, kind of vaccination sorts of outreach. And so that is, kind of the charge, and then the sustaining really looks different for everyone. But I think that that's when it goes back to kind of those priorities and the ability to have, kind of a targeted history of support around those from the last like 2.5 years, depending exactly when the membership was established. To really say like, okay, we've had some lessons learned. We know now these are some methods that would be really helpful for us to have some long-standing around community health workers, or I'm gonna, because I see Joyce's hand raised, I'm gonna use Saginaw as an example. They really thought a lot about youth, right? Like as we all age, there's going to be a new generation that comes into kind of the voting presence, as well as really kind of directing the way that a community can flow. And so they've done a lot around, trying to map and plan engaging their kind of local elected officials and talk about zoning when it comes to both liquor stores as well as cannabis or marijuana facilities, and how that really needs to be addressed because of just the large presence that it is and how it has been impacting the youth, while pairing that with proposing an educational like outreach component. So for them, they really saw that sustainability as like, how can we bring in some local officials? Some of the other councils, like Ingham, they've really leveraged the partnerships that they've had with their council members to kind of acquire more targeted funds around mental health and substance use. I know that Ingham County Health Department also utilized one of the partnerships as a way to kind of start some more programming around maternal health to kind of really robust their overall maternal health offerings through some connections that they have with folks that do birth work. So it really looks different for everyone, but you know, when it comes to what that work is, we're always here to have those conversations. What is the pressing need? I think for you all, you have your listenings, your health and policies, values agenda, thinking about systemically and targeted ways that you can bring in some of your partners or other partners and kind of mapping that out. And then going from there. And some of that may be through the partner assessment tool. Like if you want to go back a slide, Laura.
And if you could, while you're making the transition, thank you so much for the thoroughness of your answer. The only thing that I would also just add as you wrap up is that one of the things that we haven't discussed that I think might be generally helpful, especially even in light of your latest announcements, is the degree to which there is still the expectation, like underneath what people individually choose to do as a council, to also help prevent pandemic or, you know, crisis sort of situations as well, because I also understood that to be part of the purpose originally, and I assumed it was an ongoing purpose. So if you could speak to that too. Thank you, Danielle.
Yeah, I think I was talking about table B. I don't know. Yours is like clicking back 2 slides. That one. So, you know, as you're thinking about like even thinking about your health and policies and values agenda and how those specific partners fit, something like this may actually be really helpful to kind of map out, okay, like here are the specific skills or kind of assets that folks may bring into the room. Like maybe these words feel too structured. I really want to appreciate what you said about like how it can resonate or kind of not resonate with community. Maybe the titles of these columns don't vibe, and that's fine. But finding ways to kind of map out how you know, folks can feed into the work, uplift that work, whether it's someone who is really good at doing the outreach components. Maybe we have someone that has you know, strong connections with maybe mental health services or community services, et cetera, and then kind of using that as like a way to really kind of create some targeted pathways. Then I want to make sure I answer your question about the COVID of it all. That is still a priority, but I think the reality is that we know any health condition has ties to just about anything else. So a lot of these kind of initiatives that I'm talking about, we have really asked for kind of explanations or kind of detailed the connection to impacts from the pandemic. So, of course, you have the direct cases, deaths, long COVID cases, those types of things. But then you have kind of these secondary effects that people are still being faced with. Those that have long COVID many of them have not been gainfully employed. We've seen an increase in the number of folks that identify as living with a disability as a result of long COVID. And that number continues to grow in Michigan. Before the pandemic, it was already a quarter of Michiganders who lived with some sort of disability. And so with that growing number, that limits your economic opportunities, that limits your ability to engage with the health system in the way that it's currently designed. So things like community health workers, other mental health support programs, other ways that we can bring community together, those can kind of address that. And thereby that was a issue caused by the pandemic, right? So it's just more about the story we tell. These are not new problems. We just now have
Right.
money to address the problem. And
Right.
so I would rather address the current problems and be able to tell the story. So, really thinking about what it is that you would like to do. And if you are like, oh, I don't see the connection to COVID, just give me a call. People have called me and said the exact same thing. And then I say, did you know? Statistic, sentence, boom. We have our rationale. So I'm always happy to make sure that we fund the priorities that are most impactful, that really have been exacerbated by the pandemic and really have been kind of calling for our action as local and state government, as well as community-based organizations, grassroots organizations. We all want to help. So if we just have to write a few sentences to do that, I'm fine with it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Joyce?
Yeah, I was taking time. I'm sorry I had
No
problems trying to
worries.
get it. I had to put the numbers in right through Zoom. I couldn't go into the link. It wouldn't do it. But anyway, I'm in here now. That's why I asked to look at A and B again so I could kind of you see where we're going. To me, the benefits of the tool is it's making me think outside the box. Because as I look at our people around the HEC table right now, I have a pretty good idea of what kind of skills they bring to the table. And so in a way, that's how we selected some of them in the beginning, because we knew about their skill sets and what they could bring to help us move things forward. But then as I look at the people who are sitting at the table, there are some who don't talk a whole lot. We try to bring it out of them, but it begs to maybe ask them the question, here, what are some skill sets that you have that we're not aware of that possibly you could, actually bring to the table? And it also makes us think about of the things we're attempting to do, who's not at the table even yet to help us move our agenda forward. And so I know in our subcommittee work currently that we're doing, and are trying to get the moratorium on the number of marijuana outlets that we have here. We're just gathering so much data. It's just becoming just it's exciting, guys. I tell you, I don't have time to talk about that. But anyway, what we did, we found out when we were sitting at the table, in order to move our agenda forward, we didn't have certain people at the table. We had to start calling them in. The CAN Council, Child and Abuse and Neglect, domestic violence we've called in. Now we just got MMR, that's our emergency management. Unbelievable data that they have about the occurrences, and we just overlaid those today on top of the data we just got. It's in the same hot areas in the communities. Unbelievable. And so what's happening, we're adding more people as we go along, because we're seeing that we need those people at the table to help us move the agenda forward. So the assessment tool, I think about, I haven't even counted any of the people we brought to the table lately, like we have Superintendent Pryor from the Church of God in Christ, a very large multi-billion-dollar church, and the pastor has a large congregation. He comes to our table. The next mayor coming to the table. The mayor has come to the table. And, I got a tenant from the police department. I haven't counted any of those people as a partner. We just added those people to help us move our subcommittee agenda. And honestly, we haven't even invited them to come to the whole table. They just come to subcommittee meetings to help us move agenda. So I think the tool allows us to step back and look at all these individuals we're working with now, and then the ones who are at the table who are not doing as much as they could, to see if there are some, they have some skills that I think I know most of my people, but to really see whether or not they do have some other skills that I'm not aware of. And then to identify if I need to invite some of these other people to the table in general on a regular basis, not just come to a subcommittee meeting and help us, move our particular agenda as we're working with, city council and all this other stuff that we're trying to move forward right now. So I think that's what the tool does is making us think outside the box and, at our own frame of reference that we had, which seems very limited after I look at what's here.
Thank you so much, Joyce. And you touched on something that we also were noticing frequently in the reporting that all of you are completing is that you're sometimes, not all councils, or just speaking in general, that we're hearing that folks are struggling with finding ways to continue engaging council members, that some council members just aren't as engaged anymore, or maybe don't have that active role, but are also wanting to find a way to be involved. And so I think this tool also can help your councils to be really strategic in how you really hone in and leverage those skill sets and that experience that exists on those councils in a way that really benefits your work plan, and again, that sustainability plan that you're working towards and continuing to achieve as you move forward as a council. We have about 4 minutes left. I want to make sure that we have time for closing remarks with Danielle, but I do just want to, that was in the plan, Danielle, but I don't know that we have to do that. If there's other questions, we can certainly open it up, but I do just want to, again, place that emphasis. I think that was one of the highlights of this meeting for me that Chandra had shared, is that this tool really is not currently reflective of lived experience. And that really is something that's so vital and so valuable to your council. So if you are going to pick this tool up and use it sooner than later, please make sure, if we haven't had a chance to update our tool and send an updated version that really reflects this to you all, please make sure that the tool that you're using does capture that and does allow space for that as you're thinking about the council members that you have, that lived experience is of equal, if not more value than some of the experience and skills that we're learning in these institutional spaces. So make sure that you're capturing that and really thinking about what that lived experience means. If that means really having that deeper understanding of the communities that are being served, having deeper connections with the communities being served, think a little bit deeper too of what that lived experience really means to your council and how you can continue to use that as an asset. So please keep that in mind as you're using this assessment tool. And to Danielle's point too, the way that it's structured really may not reflect or even land well with councils with the language that we're using. So this is a Word document for a reason, so that it really reflects the needs of your councils and the makeup of your councils and what you plan for your councils to look like as you move forward. So don't be afraid to tailor this tool in a way that's really reflective of the language being used in your council spaces, or that really is just more culturally competent to the councils that we have in terms of really using words and language that is appropriate. So please don't hesitate to make updates as you see fit in a way that best serves your council needs. We actually only have 1 minute left here. Danielle, I'll pass it over to you.
All right. So thanks everyone for coming. As usual, recording all of that will be on Padlet. If you want to talk more about the tool, really just feel free to reach out. Or if you kind of saw it and you thought, there's some adjustments that I'd like to see, also please reach out. We're a pretty flexible team. I think y'all should know this by now. So we really welcome y'all's feedback. And then we can kind of even have some chances to chat about how to utilize or to share it with your councils in terms of walking through that process to make sure that it's a really successful meeting if you plan to use it. So, and then they just when in doubt, give us a shout. I should put that on a shirt, but that's all good. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you all next month.